Hello everyone, in this tutorial we are going to create an animation in Unity using one of the game objects in the scene. So like usual, we need to create a new project in Unity. So I press on new. We kind of did the same thing last week, but this one is different because last week we had the animation ready and we add the component on one of the game objects, and then we worked on trigger intent, on trigger exit. But this time we are going to play the animation. We are going to actually create the animation and play the animation by pressing a key on the keyboard. So I name it animation. I save it on my desktop and make sure that it's 3D mode. So I press on create project. Okay, now I have the project opened. So the first thing that I need to bring in obviously is a plane. So right click on hierarchy window, 3D object, and grab a plane. I want to make it a little bit big, so I have this scale tool on the top. I grab this and make it bigger. The next thing that I want to have in my scene is the object that I want to animate. It can be any object. The one that I want to use this time, I want to download that from Asset Store. I actually downloaded it before, so I just want to import that um, um, to my project. So if you have noticed, there is a folder on Asset Store which contains all the things that you downloaded from the Asset Store, which is called My Download. So if you click on that folder, you will see everything that you've downloaded before. The one that I want to use at the moment is this Cartoon Rockets package. I want to import them. Obviously, because I downloaded before, I have this import button. So I just press on import. I get this window. I press on import because I found that easier, and it takes a little bit of time to be imported to your project. Okay, now I have the project imported. So I go here and I choose the one that I want to use for this project. So I get this one, I bring it in. It's a little bit, it is a little bit big, so I want to make it smaller. Again, I use the scale tool and I make it small. I'll just bring it a little bit up. And for this project, I'm using main camera, but you can use anything else. I mean, you can use first person controller, third person controller, depends on your project, it doesn't matter. So yeah, in this case I'm using main camera, so there is no difference if you want to use any other things, like if you want to use first person controller or third person controller, it's okay. Okay, the next thing that we want to do, we have the object that we want to animate. So make sure that the object is selected, go to window and press on animation. So I get this animation window. You can see that the object that I want to animate is rocket. So press on create and give it a name. So I want to call it rocket animation and save. Now everything is ready for actually animating the object. So you can see the timeline and you can see all of those keys and properties. So press on select the rocket, go to inspector window. I want to spin the object around. So I want to manipulate the rotation. I want to have actually animation on the rotation. So I want to actually get the um, rocket animated on y-axis. I want to actually rotate the rocket on y-axis. So the things that I need to do, I need to do is to make sure that it is set on 0 frame, which is here. I need to press on record button. Then it is red, it's actually recording. So I want to have the same rotation. I find it's easier to, because the first thing that I need to have for animation is to get the keyframes here. I find it easier to just do like this and put 0 and or maybe just put 1 and again 0. So the same rotation, minus 90, y 0 for y and 0 for z. Now I get these keyframes here. And then for the next one, the next keyframe I want to have at 1, which is the 60 frame, and I want to change the y to 360. So now I have the started keyframe, I have the end keyframe. If I press play, I should be able to see the animation. Okay, it's working. So if I stop it and if I go back to the project window, assets window, I can see this rocket animation. So if I double click on this, you can get this animator window. As you can see, the first layer is in tree. So when you press the play, when you actually enter to the game straight goes to playing the animation. But I don't want to see the animation exactly when I press the when I start the game. I want to press the key, number 1 key on my keyboard, and then see the animation. In order to do that, first of all, we need to create an empty animation. So create a state empty. So we have this empty animation. We need to make it the first layer. So right click on it, set as layer default state. Now, if you enter to the game, it doesn't show any animation because it goes straight to the new state, which is the empty animation. So if I go back to the scene, if I play, as you can see, the rocket doesn't move, which is fine. Now we want to play the animation when we press the key on our keyboard, when we press 1 on our keyboard. So in order to do that, we need to do a little bit coding, and we need to attach the code to the rocket because the rocket is the game object that we are going to animate. So press on rocket on assets window, right click, create C# and name it animation manager, enter, and press on rocket and attach this animation script to the rocket. Double click on that, it will open up in MonoDevelop or any other application that you use for coding. Like usual, we need to we need to define a variable. So the variable is going to be public. So public. The type of variable is going to be animator, and the name can be anything. So I want to just call it anim. So when I start the game, I want to get the component, which is the animator, and I want to put that in my variable. So if I go back here, if I press on rocket, you can see that we have this animator component. So we want to get this component and add to our variable. So if I go back to the MonoDevelop, I say anim is equal to get the component. The component name is going to be animator. The type would be animator. And that's it. So it gets the animator component and puts it into the anim. Now for update function, we need to say if I press 1 on the keyboard. So I say if my input is one of the keys, is one of the keys on, so it should be get key. If that is one of the keys on the keyboard, and now I need to say which key is that. So in our case, we are going to have interaction on number 1 key, open bracket, close bracket, and in between we're going to a little bit coding for playing the animation. So again, on update function, we say if our input is one of the keys on the keyboard and that key is number 1, then anim dot play. So play the animation, but which animation? We need to put the name of the animation here and semicolon at the end. So what is the name of the animation? So if I go back to the Unity, if I go to this animated window, I can see the name of the animation is Rocket Animation. So if I go back to the mono develop, so I just put here Rocket Animation. So it should be exactly the same name. And then just press book to make sure that everything is okay. So Command S, save it, go back to the game, go back to the scene. So if I played the game, I should able to see that my rocket is there with no animation, but when I press the key, number 1 key on my keyboard, I see the animation. So I play the game, I press the key, and then I can see the animation. So you create the animation, you did a little bit of coding, you said if you press the key on your keyboard, play the animation. And that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.